it's so funny and paradoxical that I'm listening to your book and you're talking about this process and this like chemical that people need hazmat suits for, and yet like within the same sentence you'll say that and then say like we need all these chemicals and hazmat suits and protective equipment so that we can get this thing safe to eat. And it's like, what do you mean safe to eat? That stuff sounds so nasty and terrible. And it must have been such a cool way for you to kind of set that up to say that like this is what we consider safe to eat, and it's not even close. It's so gross.
Yeah, it's absurd that the seed oils had flown under the radar for, 100 years without being seriously investigated by anyone other than just a few niche scientists and myself. But now we again, like this is another one of these validating things that in deep nutrition, I did warn people about the harms of vegetable oil. And I think this actually ties to current events. So what you just said about these harmful compounds that develop in seed oils, that the compounds that develop in seed oils are include things like acrylamide, which are aldehydes, and that's where the hazmat suit come in. If you're handling acrylamide, you need to be wearing, a gas mask and stuff like that. That's how toxic it is. It is not controversial that the compound acrylamide and these other alpha beta unsaturated aldehydes are toxic. What is controversial, shamefully, is the idea that foods cooked in seed oils develop these toxins. And I say shamefully because the science is clear. It is an open secret in the vegetable oil industry that is why they have to do all of that refining that is so intensive and required to make these things safe to eat, because the seed oils will deteriorate and toxins will form in them. But so the problem that has to do with current events is that acrylamide and these alpha beta unsaturated aldehydes are neurotoxins. They disrupt brain development. And we have so many people in the world trying to get to the root cause of autism. Well, I wrote about it in Deep Nutrition, the new edition. Chapter has a chapter called Brain Killer: Why Vegetable Oils Are Your Brain's Worst Enemy. And I should say that I don't mean olive oil. When I say vegetable oil, I mean a specific set of 8 oils. I call them the hateful eight. I'm sure you'll probably put those 8 in the link below. But I can list them out later. But I want to finish this thought. So the why are vegetable oils the brain's worst enemy? Because when you eat foods that contain vegetable oils, especially if they were heated, they contain significant amounts of neurotoxins. And the neurotoxins can lead to autism, right? They can lead to many other brain diseases. That's why the chapter is called Brain Killer, not Vegetable Oils Cause Autism. But it could be called Vegetable Oils Called Autism because all the things that I say about the toxicity of these oils can contribute to the pathogenesis of autism. They can also contribute to the pathogenesis of Alzheimer's. And pathogenesis is just a fancy word for the development of. Right, that's what the pathologists are, the doctors' doctors. So the pathologists are the ones who look at the cells on slides and see what went wrong in this brain cell, what went wrong in this tissue, to understand the link between the why did this person develop the disease, right? So, and what I did was I looked at all of that evidence and I said vegetable oils can do all of these pathological changes. Vegetable oils can cause all of these pathological changes in the brain. And one of the key things that we know is associated with autism in terms of brain development going wrong is the layering of the cells in our brain. So did you know that like all of our brain is like this incredible processing system? And there are 6 layers that have to develop normally in all of our sensory processing systems. And autism is an abnormality of our sensory processing systems. And what happens when these layers don't develop normally is we cannot process sensations normally. And that's what autistic people have trouble with. They cannot turn a human face expressing an emotion. They cannot turn that into a human face expressing an emotion that they can understand. Their brains do not have the processing ability. And when I say autistic people, I mean autistic people with severe sensory processing disorder, because it is a spectrum, and not all autistic people have the same problems. In fact, many autistic people are relatively unique in the world, because when we're talking about mucking up the development of a brain with a toxin, it's not going to happen the same way in everybody. It's just like if you start, smashing glasses, right? You start breaking wine glasses. Well, the broken pieces are going to be developed different in for every wine glass, right? So destruction takes many forms, but perfection, the perfect development, the ideal development of a brain that creates a healthy human brain takes one form. There's variations, there's natural variability, but the non-disrupted development creates natural variability. And we've got this really dangerous idea going on that autism is not a disease, that is just very human variation. And no, there's a distinct difference. Human variation exists within health, right? You have some people who are outgoing, some people who are shy, some people who are good at telling jokes, some people who are terrible at telling jokes. That would be me. That doesn't mean I'm on a spectrum of any sort. It just means that that's a natural variability. So there's healthy variability that gives us personalities and proclivities, and then there's unhealthy variability that gives us the autism spectrum. And that is so important of a concept to understand. And again, I don't hear anyone thinking through the process of autism from start to finish like this. So I think that's really, really important, what I just said. And I kind of wish I had said that on deep nutrition, but I give you all the support for all the ways that the seed oil destroys our brain and how it leads to dementia and strokes and migraines and everything else. So please read the book.
Yeah. Please read the book. It's a wonderful read, like I said. Yeah, and that is absolutely fascinating. I'm glad you went there with that question. Most people, I think the term seed oil is becoming a little bit more accepted and ubiquitous. We mostly just called it vegetable oil for the longest time. And I could forgive anybody for walking up to the aisle in the grocery store that has all this like kind of clean looking golden type of oils in these clear bottles. It's easy to see. And like, it looks fairly benign. Like, what is the processing behind this stuff that most people don't really understand? We alluded to it a little bit earlier. And how did we get in the habit of calling this stuff vegetable oil when none of it comes from vegetables?
Yeah, so let's start with the history a little bit real quick. So really the term vegetable oil came about in the late 1900s when the processing was like got to the point where you could actually extract oils from cottonseed and stuff like that. And they wanted to distinguish it from whale oil.